So the Bitcoin ETF is literally days away and nobody can agree on how much capital is going to flow into this instrument. Are we going to see 1 or 2 billion? Are we going to see hundreds of billions of dollars flow in this first year? I don't know, but one thing that both the bulls and the bears don't talk about is how the Bitcoin multiplier effect plays into this equation. So today we're going to be discussing that. We're going to be discussing the predictions of some people who believe that Bitcoin could go to $1 million in 2024 because of the Bitcoin multiplier effect and the Bitcoin ETFs. And we're going to discuss whatever you guys want me to. So leave me a comment or a question in the live stream of today's chat. But what we're going to talk about first is this multiplier effect. So I'm going to actually share my screen. And what we're going to be looking at is a website from Willy Woo. Okay, so Willy Woo has this really interesting model. Okay, and it is called the Bitcoin market cap gain per dollar invested. It's a little bit of a mouthful. Okay, and this is why I called it the Bitcoin multiplier effect in a 2021 article that I wrote, because it just simply simplifies things. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin multiplier effect. Up the top of the screen, this is the price of Bitcoin. So this is in the blue. You can see the price of Bitcoin and the market cap of Bitcoin. So, and down the bottom here in the pink, this is the price gain that Bitcoin sees per $1 flowing into the Bitcoin market. So we can see today in 2024, the Bitcoin multiplier effect is nearly at its highest level. So it is at 4.6. So what this means in very, very simplified terms is for every $1 that flows into Bitcoin, it pushes the Bitcoin market cap up by 4.6x today in 2024. Okay, and again, I like to be conservative. I say whenever I talk about the multiplier effect, I say on average over the past 5 years of data, it's, it averages around 3. Okay, so that's kind of what I like to look at. Okay, I think the average of this is around 3. So I want to go through some articles now. So now we've kind of looked at the Bitcoin multiplier effect. How much capital are we expecting to see come into Bitcoin? So this article here says that BlackRock has $2 billion of Bitcoin lined up, ready to go in the first week. Okay, so Michael Seigel, not sure if I pronounced that name right, he's the head of digital assets research at VanEck, so the second largest ETF manager, I believe, in the world. I'm not sure if that's true, but he believes that BlackRock has $2 billion of capital lined up for its Bitcoin spot ETF in the first week alone. Okay, we also have some other people confirming this rumor. So again, these are just rumors people are talking about on Twitter. Twitter is going absolutely crazy right now, which is why I'm going live today. And then obviously we have some more bullish estimates, which we are going to check out. Some people believe we're actually going to see hundreds of billions of dollars of capital flowing into the Bitcoin space. I'm not sure if that's true, whether it's going to happen in the first week, maybe in the first year. That's a better estimate to actually have. So we have a question from Jonah. The multiplier should go up forever as more and more coins get absorbed into diamond hands. Now, I 100% agree with this. And thank you, Jonah, for bringing it up, because I actually wanted to go through a tweet thread I have on the multiplier effect, because some people are like, hang on a minute, why do we see a Bitcoin multiplier effect? Well, that is because the fact that not all the available Bitcoin are actually available for exchange. So here I have a thread that I wrote on the Bitcoin multiplier effect back in 2023. Okay. So it says here that most Bitcoin maths calculations assume that all of the 21 million Bitcoin is actually available for sale. This is not true. Over 78% of the total Bitcoin supply hasn't moved in the past year, and that amount is growing year by year. I believe we're over 80% now, the amount of Bitcoin that hasn't moved in the past year. So this is why we have a multiplier effect. Not all the Bitcoin is actually available for sale, okay? We know today that there's only around 2 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges for sale. And this is very important when we start talking about the multiplier effect, okay? And what's interesting is Jonah actually has a very interesting thesis, because if we do continue to see coins leave exchanges, theoretically, this would mean the multiplier effect continues to go up, because this is really interesting. I want to actually share my screen again and go back to Willy Woo's website. we can see the multiplier effect is nearly at an all-time high. And have a look at it back here in 2021. It was also above 4.5, okay? For the first 12 years of Bitcoin's life, this multiplier effect never got over 4x, okay? We can see the highest it got was back here in 2017. It got to 3.83. So why is Bitcoin now consistently hitting multiplier effects above 4 and above 4.5? We can see here in 2021, 4.8. Again, we're nearly back at that all-time high, and we're only in the very early stages of a bull market. That multiplier effect right now, 4.58. Okay, so Bitcoin's never seen this level of a Bitcoin multiplier effect. And this is because we are watching coins drain off the exchanges. We go back to this tweet thread here. We can see that the amount of Bitcoin being hodled is only increasing. Okay, we can see the illiquid supply of Bitcoin is growing and the amount of coins on exchanges is decreasing. So this is one of my favorite charts. I absolutely love it. It shows on the left-hand side of this big red vertical line, the amount of coins on exchanges only grew for Bitcoin's first 12 years until 2020. 2020 happened. The amount of Bitcoin sitting on exchanges, we can see peaked at 3.1 million Bitcoin on exchanges. Today, there's around 2 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges. So over the past 2 years, what you've seen is a trend change. We've seen the amount of Bitcoin available for sale shrink by 35%. Okay, this is why our multiplier effect is hitting levels that it's never seen in Bitcoin's first 12 years, because the amount of illiquid supply available today is shrinking. Okay, for the first time in 12 years, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is absolutely disappearing. Okay, so that is why I think Jonah's on the money when he says the multiplier effect should theoretically rise forever. Now, this is interesting because we start talking about the capital inflows of Bitcoin. We're going to come back to the live chat in a sec. So again, blow it up with your comments. I can see lots of comments in there, so I'll circle back around. But if we theoretically, let's start with the bearish case. If we see $5 billion of capital come into the Bitcoin space, we need to add our multiplier effect. Again, it's 4.5 today. Let's round it up for 5 for simplified mathematical, purposes. I am on a live stream, so don't test my maths too much. But if we see $5 billion of capital flow in over the next, let's say, week, that's a pretty average conservative estimate. Most people think we're going to see a couple of $1 billion flow into Bitcoin. If we see $5 billion flow in, we have a 5x multiplier effect. That means we've got $25 billion of capital coming into the Bitcoin market cap. So that's going to give us a nice 5, maybe even 10% pump in the Bitcoin price in a week. Okay, so we could quite comfortably, conservatively, see Bitcoin in the $50,000 next week. Okay, so that is a conservative estimate. Something to note that we were actually talking about on Twitter Spaces earlier today is the fact that we actually haven't seen a 25% correction in nearly a year in the Bitcoin space. Okay, and this is the longest period of time that we haven't seen a 25% correction in Bitcoin since all the way back in 2011. So 12 years ago. So anybody who has big leverage longs open on Bitcoin, because they're assuming that this is going to happen. They're assuming that Bitcoin has to pump in this first week, that it has a Bitcoin ETF. I'm exercising caution, okay? Nothing is certain. Bitcoin has literally gone straight up for the past 18 months since it kind of bottomed out in November 2022. Geez, that feels like a long time ago now. Bitcoin's just gone straight up from $15,000 to $45,000, wherever it is today. So again, exercise caution. But okay, now that you have the cautious view in the back of your mind, let's talk about the more bullish estimates. Okay, some people actually believe we could see $200 billion flow into Bitcoin in the first year. Okay, that's some of the more bullish, high-end, conservative estimates I've heard. So let's assume a 5x Bitcoin multiplier. Okay, if you got $200 billion coming in, you got 5x Bitcoin multiplier effect. That's going to push the Bitcoin market cap up by $1 trillion if my maths is correct. Bitcoin has a market cap around $800 billion today. If you get an extra $1 trillion, it's going to take you up to $1.8 trillion market cap. When you divide that by your 21 million coins, it should give you a Bitcoin price tag somewhere in the $80,000. Okay, maybe I should have done this maths before jumping on a live stream, but I believe it's in the $80,000, maybe $85,000 price tag per Bitcoin in the first year. So again, most people know that in these bull markets we see after the Bitcoin halving, the first year, like the year of the halving, is normally the conservative year. So this is when Bitcoin slowly approaches its new all-time high, and it's the next year after the halving when you see the real parabolic bull market. So again, if we see $85,000 Bitcoin in 2024, could be setting up for a pretty nice, pretty bullish 2025 Bitcoin bull market. And it's actually what some people are even calling a super cycle. Okay, we're going to talk about Chamath Palihapitiya and why he believes Bitcoin actually goes mainstream in 2024 and why I believe it could actually trigger a super cycle a little bit later on. But I want to hit the live chat. So as HODL rate increases, you're correct. I think JFD in the live chat is 100% on the money. Jordan Z has a really interesting question. What do you think about Bank of America's 118x multiplier that they talk about in Bitcoin? Well, I'm going to show you exactly what I think about that because I wrote an article in 2021 on this. Okay, so this is an article I wrote making the case for why we could see a super cycle in 2021. So is this bull run Bitcoin's final cycle? So again, I wrote this in 2021, but let's have a look at the Bitcoin, this Bank of America article, because I referenced it when I wrote this one. And we can see here, Bank of America did a study. They claimed the Bitcoin multiplier effect was 118x. But we can see here the title of this study that Bank of America actually published was called Bitcoin is Dirty, Slow, Volatile, and Impractical. Okay, so let's actually go to the article that Bank of America put out. You can see the title here, and this is in 2021, March 2021. And if you come down here and have a look, we can see that Bank of America argues that $93 million of net flows triggers a Bitcoin price movement of 1x. So a level that requires $1.86 billion for a corresponding move in gold. So Bank of America is saying, look, Bitcoin is too volatile to actually use as money. That's what Bank of America is saying. So I think that the 118x Bitcoin multiplier doesn't apply. Okay, I don't think it's that bullish. I think in this study that Bank of America ran, I'm going to double check what I'm about to say, but we can see here they focused on a very short period of time. They said, look, Bitcoin price pumped 1% when Elon piled into Bitcoin. Okay, so we can see here Bitcoin prices we're seeing 1% lower on the session when it was around $55,000, down 10% from its all-time high. So Bank of America was looking at a very, very narrow window in time in Bitcoin's life cycle back in 2021. They were looking at, I can't remember, I can't actually find it quoted in this study here, but they were saying in a day or in a week, Bitcoin's price moved by 1%. See, it's too volatile. It's way too volatile and dirty to be used as money. So I prefer to look at Willy Woo's data. Again, this is a long-term moving average of the Bitcoin market cap gain per dollar invested. Again, that's a mouthful, but this is a long-term chart of the Bitcoin multiplier effect. That's why I prefer to zoom out and look at that. If you do want to learn more about the Bitcoin multiplier effect, I am going to come back and answer questions in the live chat, but I have put out many long and detailed and better polished explanations on my Substack. So again, you can just check out any of the articles that I've written here. The article I'm publishing today on my Substack is going to be talking a lot about the Bitcoin multiplier effect. So if you want to learn more, check that out, because obviously it's hard to explain things on a live stream and do live stream maths. Okay, hodl everything you can. The girlfriend's in the live chat. Nice chance. Okay, thanks, honey. Thanks for the kind words of encouragement. Never thought I'd say this, but thank God for the FTX collapse. I think Jonah is on the money once again. I think the FTX collapse was good for Bitcoin. They were obviously short 80,000 Bitcoin from memory. So FTX had over $1 billion of fake Bitcoin on their exchange. Customers thought they bought 80,000 Bitcoin on FTX, but when FTX got audited and the tide went out and we were able to see that they were swimming naked, there was no Bitcoin on their exchange, absolutely zero. They were supposed to hold over $80,000 or over $1 billion of Bitcoin. So they were naked shorting the price of Bitcoin by not buying the Bitcoin. Okay. So again, this is another advertisement by why we say take your Bitcoin off the exchanges. Okay. Again, this is probably another quick little chance to mention the fact that if you want to take your Bitcoin off the exchanges, hit me up. I'm happy to be working with the Bitcoin advisors, and we can actually set you up with a Bitcoin multi-signature setup in under 60 minutes. It's called collaborative custody. So you hold one key, but then you also have one key in a place like Texas in America, and you can also have another key with your chosen Bitcoin advisor. So again, we can get you set up with this distributed, geographically superior Bitcoin multi-signature setup in under 60 minutes. Okay, so multi-sig is the way to go. It makes traveling easier in my case and my circumstance. So again, if you want to learn more about collaborative custody and how we can help you, you can book a time on my calendar here. It's going to be linked in the description of today's video. We do think that collaborative custody is going to be the way to drain the exchanges and, you know, get the next billion people onboarded onto Bitcoin. Some people are scared to take custody. Some people need their hand held. So again, check that out. If you're interested, you can have your consultation with me, and I'm going to walk you through how we set up one of those setups. So nice article. People are talking about the article. Maybe they're talking about the Bitcoin Times behind me. Okay, they are the Bitcoin Times. Again, I'm thrilled to be joining my friend Alex Svetsky. Every single year, we put out a new edition of the Bitcoin Times. There's only 2,100 copies of each edition ever printed. So it's like Bitcoin. It's the second most scarce thing in the Bitcoin space. It's a collector's item, so you can get your favorite number edition and collect them every single year. This year, we published the Energy Edition. We obviously had great authors such as, you know, Marty Bent, Alex Svetsky, Gideon Powell, Andrew Myers. Many great Bitcoins contribute to that puppy. So you can actually get 20,000 sats off any edition of the Bitcoin Times you want with a promo code Mikic. That is my easy to spell last name, Mikic. So again, if you do want some of the articles on the wall behind me, definitely check that out. But I think we've covered just about everything I want to cover today, talking about the Bitcoin multiplier effect, but we haven't talked about the super cycle. So yesterday I went live to talk about Chamath Palihapitiya's call. He actually, on the most recent episode of the All In podcast, claimed that he believes 2024 is the year that Bitcoin is going to go mainstream and it's going to, quote unquote, cross the chasm. So if you want to learn what crossing the chasm means and how it is talking about Bitcoin's technological adoption curve, after this live stream's ended, there's going to be a link on screen right about there of the live stream that I did yesterday, breaking down what this is and talking about the Bitcoin super cycle. So if you're interested in that, check out the link right there. And with all that said, thank you to everyone who joined in. I had some very insightful comments in the live stream. So thank you to everyone who joined. How do you think Bitcoin dominance plays out this cycle? I'll quickly answer Jordan's question. I think Bitcoin dominance rises for the next, maybe 6 months. And then maybe when things get really speculative, really crazy in the tail ends of the bull market, maybe we see an old season, but nobody knows. I'm going to leave you on that cliffhanger. And I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next live stream.